Okay, audience members 1, 2, 3, and my fourth one ran off to go chase mice. Okay. Hi, my name is Caleb Horlick, and I'm here to present to you a topic that hopefully does not fall under Professor Dub's lame generic speeches of all kinds category. This topic would be creation versus evolution in regards to scripture and science. René Descartes is credited for the thought, "I think, therefore I am." We as humans set ourselves apart from other life on Earth based on our intellect, soul, and consciousness, among other things. But are we humans the top of the evolutionary spectrum, created by a higher power or by natural processes, or both? To begin, I'll outline Genesis, which is probably the most well-known theological creation story on Earth. It was an oral tradition passed down many years ago of the creation of Earth by God. And the progression is somewhat generic, but on the first day, the Earth was formless and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the second day, the sky, or the atmosphere, I'm kind of paraphrasing, was created. And to skip a couple days, on the sixth day, man was created in God's image. And to compare this to geological perspectives, I'll start with the similarities being that in the beginning the Earth was formless and kind of void and empty, and it was basically a large blob of molten metal and rock just floating around. And that was about 5 billion years ago. And also humans seem to be generally the most recent creation in the spectrum of plants, oceanic life, etc. But differences come therein. For instance, the third day, plants were created in Genesis. The fourth day, the sun and the moon, and the fifth, aquatic life, which, based on biology and environmental sciences, we know that on the fourth day, the sun and the moon couldn't have been created because on the third day, plants were created, and plants require the sun for life. And also, aquatic life being created on the fifth day, we know biologically that aquatic life was basically the first real technical life on Earth. So those are a few discrepancies between Genesis and science. But I see Genesis as a more liberal, metaphorical interpretation. Like I said, it was oral tradition, so it can be inaccurate. I don't know if you've ever played the game Telephone, but it can change. And I see Genesis as more of a metaphor for God's omnipotence as a creator, rather than a literal creation story. And there's some Hebrew perspectives, the Hebrew story, that you have to take into consideration to really get the true meaning of Genesis. So Genesis is really as far from concrete or scientific creation as we can get. So let's compare Scripture to more scientific means of creation. In Ecclesiastes 3:20, God says, "From the dust we came, and to the dust we shall return," and that God molded Adam from the earth. And in the early 20th century, there's an experiment called the Miller-Urey experiment. And based on my interpretation of the experiment, it uses early Earth gases, archaic gases, along with nutrients found in early Earth soils, a warm environment or setting, and electrical energy in order to create amino acids, which are very basic building blocks of life. And the implication of this experiment are basically using early Earth gases, nutrients, and environment, and a little bit of electricity. You can find a means of creation of life. And another thing that theologians or Christians say is that God created everything in its present form, and many people get caught up in this, and what they see the meaning of that as is God created everything then just like it is now. So it hasn't changed, which obviously is in direct conflict with evolution and its theories. But how I see it is that everything that exists now was created by God into its present form. So everything that we see now was created by God and is now in its form, and it was put into this form by God. It was created into this form by God. Um, so I see a common ground between the science and the theology. But reading my Bible one night, I found kind of an astonishing verse, and I saw it to be very, very um, pertinent to this idea, this situation. And this was Genesis 1:24, and it says, "And God said, Let the land produce living creatures according to their kind, livestock, creatures that move along the ground, and wild animals, each according to its kind." Now the way I see this is it's God Himself commanding the earth, Mother Nature, to generate life. It's God breathing life into the earth, per se, and telling it to evolve and create new life. Evolution is just simply our most solid theory for explaining how the earth brings about this life, or how God creates this new life. So in conclusion, I don't find insurmountable conflictions between science and God. If anything, through this research, I've found more commonalities between what God is telling us and what we are finding out through science. For instance, man was created from the clay, and through nutrients and archaic gases, atmosphere, and sea, life was created. God sparked life into motion, and coincidentally, lightning was necessary in that process as the spark. God told the earth to create and diversify terrestrial and aquatic life. And what did Earth do? It evolved. Science does not replace, thus leave no room for God. If anything, through science, we're able to see and learn about God's amazing creation, Earth. Thank you very much. And I've enjoyed your class, and I hope you enjoyed me being in your class.